Hi, I'm Nico, I'm from Germany and this is my truck feeder. It's a 1976 Magirus Deutz with an air-cooled V6 diesel engine. I always had like big vans and the new one always has to be bigger than the old one. So I ended up at a point where I had to get a truck like this. Takes like, depending on where you drive, 20 liters to 22 liters on 100 kilometers. I installed these LED lights and I put them on my high beam switch. Also the light bar. It's a 400 watt Osram light bar on 24 voltage, so it's pretty bright. I also installed LEDs all around the truck, so you can just make everything around the truck bright. I had to lift the truck like 4 inches so I could fit these tires. The tire size now is like 365/80 on 20-inch rims. Those one couldn't fit without lifting the truck. On the rear there's way less space for them. When I bought the truck, it already had this camper on the back, but unfortunately it was parked outside for 15 years. So I had to take out the walls and I only had the stainless steel frame left. So it was like only the stainless steel frame. The whole box is totally insulated. Also the windows and the roof lights, they're also like double glassed material. I have 2 fuel tanks. This is the main fuel tank. It has a capacity of like 300 liters. And this is a spare fuel tank. It has a capacity of like 150 liters. I can travel 1,000 kilometers with a full fuel tank. My diesel heater is hooked up to my reserve fuel tank. I can run the heater for months without refilling any fuel tanks. So this is my spare wheel carrier, spare fuel canister, which does not bring me very far, but I have it. I have 1 recovery track, which is probably like way too weak for the truck, and I never used it. That's probably why it's not bent. On this side, this is my propane door. I use the propane for my propane stove and my kitchenette. This is my toolbox. I have like basically all I need in here. 20-ton jack to jack up the car if I have like a flat tire, and like all my other tools are in there. This is the box for my starter battery. I have 2 200 amps 12 voltage batteries just to start the truck. This is a little hydraulic stamp unit. You need it if you want to work on the engine because you actually have to tilt the driver cabin. And this is the hydraulic unit for it. So this is the roof of the camper. I made a whole roof rack for the camper so I can put on these 2 400 watt solar panels. I also put like a rubber mat on top of the camper, so it's like totally waterproof. So when I shipped the truck over to Canada, I was carrying my spare wheels on the roof to make it like as short as possible. Also had like transportation boxes on the roof where I had like different stuff in it. So that's the inside of the driver cabin. It's also pretty straightforward. The only like special thing is like I have 2 fuel gauges. This fuel gauge is for my spare fuel tank and this fuel gauge is for the main fuel tank. I also have a diesel heater for the driver's cabin, 12 voltage radio. The whole truck is on a 24 voltage system, so I have a 24 voltage to 12 voltage converter. This is for high and low gear of the transfer case. And I also have a differential lock in my rear axle. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Let's climb inside.
This video is sponsored by LingoPie. During my journey to learn Spanish, and I'm getting pretty close to fluency now, I've tried many different apps, and LingoPie has some of the best features that I've come across. With LingoPie, you can learn a new language by watching TV shows and movies, which is way more fun than the classroom, and you also learn language in the real native conversations, and you pick up slang and phrases that most other language learning apps just cannot convey. And with features like the interactive subtitles that add new vocabulary directly to your flashcards to review, LingoPie really is unique. One of the great things about the flashcards is it shows you the word in context of the sentence with the video clip, so you read it, hear it, and see it in context, and it's another feature I have not seen on any other platform, and it really helps with retention. So if you're struggling to learn a new language, try LingoPie. Using the link below, you'll get a 7-day free trial, and you can see just how much you love it, and then you'll get 55% off your subscription. So click the link below and binge your way to fluency. And remember to subscribe.
I grew up traveling a lot with my dad, mostly in old 4-wheel drive vehicles, Land Rover Defenders and stuff like this. There were like expedition expos where people were meeting and there were always people showing up with a truck like this. And me as a small boy seeing those trucks was always like, one day I really have to get something like this. So I got my first van when I was 18. That's me in my first VW camper. I drove to North Norway in winter and I didn't have a heater. I came back to Germany, I was like, I'll never do it without a heater again. So had quite a few vans. That's how I made money a little bit. I was buying vans, fixed them, turned them into a nice camper. I was 20 when I found this truck. It was like a fire truck for South Germany in the mountains. And I didn't even have a driver license for the truck. In Germany you have like a driver license for vehicles when they're heavier than 3.5 tons. One day after Christmas I drove all the way down, got her going, and then I drove it back home. Then it was like parked for 3 to 4 years without touching it. Almost 4 years ago now I started building the truck and it took like 3 years. Mostly because I had to work to make money to keep on working and stuff like this. I started building the inside before I noticed that the whole floor was rotten. If you want to get the floor out, you have to get the walls out. I was ending up taking everything out again, and getting the camper off the truck on my own was the most sketchiest thing I've done on my own. In the middle of nowhere, because I had to rent a place where I could park the truck so it's dry. It was a process. So when you come in, you have like hooks to the left where you can put up your jackets and stuff like this. I also have a firewood place. It's kind of easy when you chop the firewood outside to just put it there. And I'm also using like briquettes for my stove. They just stay a bit longer warm, so I don't have to put like firewood into the stove all night. Little shoe shelf on the right, and my nice Hurricane lamp. It's a 12 volt LED conversion. It used to be a 230 voltage lamp before. When you go a bit further inside, you have this seating area. You can like easily sit with probably 6 people, 8 people. This table my dad gave to me. He upgraded his camper with a new one and he gave me this old one. You can just fold it down, put these cushions on top of it, and then you have a big bed. And under here I have like more storage for firewood. Under this bench I have like my whole electric system. I'm running the whole electric system on a 24 voltage lithium battery. So it's a smart battery and there's an app which shows you how much percentage it's loaded and stuff like this. So we're at 100%. I have a master volt inverter which turns the 24 voltage into 230 voltage. I think it's like 3000 watts. Up here you have like my radio system and stuff like this running on 12 voltage. I have like a 70 amp converter from 24 voltage to 12 voltage. I also can run my subwoofer and stuff like this on this 12 volt converter. And I have my whole water system under this one. I think it's a 150 liter water tank, my water pump, and I also have like a pressure container for the water system. Over here I have my nice wood burning stove. It's a Hamlet. It's a very nice size. I actually picked it because of the size. You can put like briquettes in it and big pieces of wood. It also has like stone walls inside, so it stays warm even though there's no fire inside anymore. And also you can cook on top of it. That's pretty cool. Underneath the stove I have a fridge. It's a 24 voltage compressor fridge. I didn't know how it worked out when I put the fridge underneath the stove, but as temperature moves up, I don't really have any problems with having the fridge underneath the stove. Over here is my sink. I have another bowl in it, so I can double my wash space or whatever. I only have like a small gray water jet underneath the sink. When I'm in nature, I just drain it outside because I only have environment-friendly stuff in my sink. This is my off-road mug holder. Even if you go like super fast on dirt roads or something, my glasses and my mugs stay where they are. I have a 3-burner propane stove on top of it. It's vintage. It's out of an old sailing boat actually, which is pretty cool, so you can make a pizza or whatever. I have 2 bunk beds in the front. I have like little lights, LED lights, dimmable in each bed. Little space for books and stuff like this, little shelf, and on the end I have shelves for putting clothes in it. Over here I have my not finished bathroom. It's more like a storage room where I have like my wetsuits in, all kind of stuff in these boxes, my camping chair and table, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Probably everyone who built their own home knows that feeling. It's just so nice when you actually look at every screw and you know you're the one who put it in, and you appreciate like every single door when it opens nice and closes nice. Me having this truck, I wanted to have a truck since I was like a super small boy, and I never lost like focus on it and stuff like this. So if you want to build something, just do it.
And remember, if you're struggling to learn a new language, try LingoPie. Using the link below, you'll get a 7-day free trial so you can see just how much you love it. And then you'll get 55% off your subscription. Click the link now. It's totally risk-free and bend your way to fluency.